Apple MacBook Pro 13-inch model with M2 chip to launch on March 8, report. Apple MacBook Pro powered with the aid of the agency's M2 silicon has been tipped to launch at an upcoming spring release event in March. As per a document, Apple's deliver chain partners kept production going for walks all through the Lunar New Year vacations for its upcoming MacBook Pro. Another report mentions that Apple intends to release, sometime later this 12 months, an up-to-date version of its entry-stage 13-inch MacBook Pro, a good way to function the brand new Apple M2 processor. The upcoming MacBook Air is also stated to function Apple's M2 processor. As in step with a file via DigiTimes, Apple will launch the updated MacBook Pro, powered by the M2 silicon chip, on March 8. As in step with the document, the Cupertino-based Totally Large's supply chain partners persisted manufacturing at some point of the week-long Lunar New Year vacations. The record bringing up sources says that Apple will launch a spate of recent devices in early March, such as new MacBook Pro adopting the brand new M2 processor, budget degree 5G iPhone SE 3 and a new iPad. Except for the processor, most different additives used within the new MacBook Pro reportedly can have almost the identical specs the present MacBook Pro version proposing M1 chip. While the record did not mention the dimensions of the approaching MacBook Pro, the best MacBook Pro powered through the original M1 chipset is the Access Stage 13-inch variant. Since there is no authentic affirmation, this records ought to be concerned about a pinch of salt. Another file by way of Apple analyst Mark Gurman states the Cupertino-based Massive intends to launch an updated 13-inch MacBook Pro in 2022, but it changed into assumed that it'd arrive within the second half of this 12 months after Apple finishes releasing MacBook models with its M1 Pro and M1 Max processors. Apple's updated MacBook Pro with M2 chipsets is predicted to reach alongside the updated MacBook Air, which is likewise said to be powered by way of Apple's new processor. Apple's M2 chip will reportedly get the identical number of CPU cores as its predecessor, up to 10 graphic cores, and stepped forward overall performance. Gurman also states that Apple may also omit the Touch Bar from the imminent Access Stage MacBook Pro, as it could additionally lack the promotion show. Apple buys startup that makes tune with artificial intelligence, Apple Inc. Received a startup known as AI Music that uses synthetic intelligence to generate tailor-made song, in step with a person with information of the problem, including generation that will be used across its slate of audio services. The buy of AI Music, a London primarily based commercial enterprise founded in 2016, changed into finished in recent weeks. The corporation had about dozen employees before the deal. Technology evolved via AI Music can create soundtracks using royalty-free track and synthetic intelligence, in keeping with a copy of its now defunct website. The idea is to generate dynamic soundtracks that trade based on person interplay. A song in a video game may want to change to suit the temper, as an instance, or song during exercise ought to adapt to the user's intensity. On its LinkedIn webpage, AI Music said its intention is to provide customers the energy to choose the music they want, seamlessly edited to match their wishes, or create dynamic answers that adapt to suit their audiences. The startup had earlier deals with advertising corporations to create greater enticing advertisements that played one-of-a-kind tune depending on the target market. A consultant of Cupertino, California-based Totally Apple declined to remark. While surprisingly small, the deal is one of the tech large's few acquisitions in the past year. Apple's last said purchase changed into additionally for a song agency, Prime Phonic. That startup ran a classical track streaming provider that Apple intends to show into an app tied to Apple Music this year. Apple dramatically slowed down its acquisition spending at some stage in 2021, devoting handiest $33 million to deal payments over the economic 12 months, in step with close October. That's down from $1.5 billion in 2020 and $624 million in 2019. iPhone SE 3. What we recognize about the maximum inexpensive 5G iPhone. Apple is reportedly gearing as much as host a digital event on March 8. The tech large is rumored to launch the following era iPhone SE, dubbed as iPhone SE 3, on the occasion. Leaks and rumors across the smartphone have been in flow for pretty some time now. Although the tech large has not formally found out any detail about the device, numerous reviews have furnished a hint on how the iPhone SE the 3rd of May form up. Smartphones stands for Special Edition. The first iPhone SE model became launched through the corporation in March 2016. The device turned into released as an low-priced toned-down model of its former flagship fashions. How the third-era iPhone SE will look like according to previous claims with the aid of recognized Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo, the upcoming iPhone SE will not undergo a design trade and could appearance just like the one that is currently bought in the marketplace. Which approach that the telephone could have a 4.7-inch Retina HD display in conjunction with Touch ID home button. The iPhone is also stated to function IP67 water and dust resistance. What processor will iPhone SE3 run on under the hood? The iPhone SE3 is rumored to get the trendy A15 Bionic chip. This way the telephone could be at par with the iPhone 13 models in phrases of processor. For context, the modern technology iPhone SE features an A13 Bionic chip that turned into first introduced in iPhone 11 and iPhone 11 Pro. What are the camera specifications of the iPhone SE3? Apple is rumored to update the digital camera module in the upcoming iPhone SE model. As per a file through Macromers, the phone may also get the today's huge perspective digicam from the iPhone 13 lineup. It is well worth noting that the modern-day iPhone SE sports a single 12MP digicam on the lower back. What is the important thing cognizance of the iPhone SE3? The key focus of the iPhone SE3 is stated to be the help for 5G connectivity. The telephone is rumored to be the enterprise's most low-cost 5G smartphone. Currently, Apple's maximum low-cost smartphone with 5G connectivity is iPhone 12 mini that became released in 2020. After iPhone, now WhatsApp desktop customers will even get the brand new Global Audio Participant function. New WhatsApp feature. Global Audio Player function was brought to iOS beta model a few weeks ago and could quickly let all iPhone users enjoy this new feature. A similar replace is planned for WhatsApp beta for Android quickly too. WhatsApp desktop is seemingly getting this selection earlier. Currently, this replace has been rolled out for the WhatsApp desktop beta version. It will soon be available for all desktop customers. With this feature, customers can now play a voice Be Aware and switch among conversations or chats at the same time as the audio plays inside the background. This news turned into first suggested via WhatsApp tracker WA Beta Info on February 6. Posting on its professional Twitter account, it wrote, "The Global Audio Participant is available on WhatsApp desktop. The potential to listen to voice notes when switching to a specific conversation is now available on WhatsApp desktop beta." The replace is a part of WhatsApp Desktop Beta 2.2204.5, but some users can also get it early with the 2.2204.1 beta update. WhatsApp Desktop Global Audio Participant. While WhatsApp iOS beta testers have already visible how this new WhatsApp feature works on iPhone, it'll be thrilling to note if there are any differences inside the WhatsApp Desktop beta model. However, this doesn't appear to be the case. According to WA Beta Info, after playing a voice observe and switching to a different chat effects in an audio participant bar performing at the lowest of the chat listing on the left side of the display. That way, the voice word keeps to play even as the user actions to different chats or organizations. Thanks to this bar, we have control over the voice observe through the use of the playback button, and the development bar indicator facilitates us recognize whilst the voice note ends. The WA Beta Info report stated this precise characteristic became demanded by means of customers for a while now. Oftentimes, users could mistakenly exit the chat, inflicting the voice observe to forestall. Further, because the voice notes do no longer include time-elapsed info, users might be compelled to wager in which the audio note left off and repeat it once more. WhatsApp users on Android can be last to acquire this update. However, because the Android network is the fastest to put in force updates, it could get the very last replace before iPhone or desktop customers. Apple's Tap to Pay will quickly assist you to keep purchases with the aid of tapping another iPhone. We've all seen contactless bills in some shape. Recognizing a terminal at the register wherein you can tap your credit scorecard or debit card, or your cell phone in case you're the usage of an app like Apple Pay. Soon, a few merchants will support every other way to pay, tapping your card or iPhone to some other iPhone. On Tuesday, Apple introduced a new Tap to Pay function coming soon to iPhones where traders can receive bills. Essentially, the iPhone will become the contactless charge terminal. Stores the usage of Tap to Pay can have an app for his or her iPhone. When a customer assessment's out, they are able to both preserve their iPhone, Apple Watch, or a supported debit or credit card to the service provider's iPhone to pay. Lock It app. How a birthday gift became one of 2022's most famous apps. Tap to Pay will roll out to Apple shops in the US later this year, the organization stated. The provider will all the top payment networks inclusive of Visa, MasterCard, Discover and American Express. As increasingly more consumers are tapping to pay with digital wallets and credit cards, Tap to Pay on iPhone will offer agencies with a cozy, private, and clean manner to just accept contactless bills and unlock new checkout studies the use of the strength, safety, and convenience of iPhone, stated Jennifer Bailey, Apple's vice president of Apple Pay and Apple Wallet, in a declaration. Apple isn't the best tech agency delving into contactless payments. Samsung and Google both have their very own charge apps to make purchases with a faucet of your telephone. Meanwhile, Amazon has launched numerous Amazon Go stores wherein clients by no means have to check out with a cashier. Recently, Amazon unveiled a new version of its Go stores concentrated on suburban customers. Apple's iMessage problems are bigger than green or blue bubbles. Apple's iMessage has an extended records of keeping apart people into blue and green bubbles primarily based on whether or not they're the use of an iPhone or Android cell phone. But that hassle is now a long way larger than looking cool in our institution chats. While social pressures among those who do and do now not display up as a blue bubble had been often documented, which include currently with the aid of the Wall Street Journal amongst teens and young humans, the debate highlights a miles larger issue about widespread communique. There is no single, current texting general that works across all phones. Rich Communication Services, or RCS, is the nearest opportunity. While RCS itself is an open widespread, Google has been championing it the most in recent years after the company's lengthy records of launching proprietary texting apps that did now not gain the notoriety of iMessage or Meta's WhatsApp. RCS is filled with iMessage-like capabilities along with typing indicators and examine receipts, but has had a prolonged rollout as U.S. cell phone providers every one after the other introduced plans to make RCS the default option on most Android telephones. Other functions which can be already in iMessage, along with organization chat encryption and cross-platform message reactions, are nonetheless in development for RCS and Google's Messages app. The preferred is a step forward in making messaging more uniform across the wide form of Android devices that exist. But it nevertheless doesn't restore the problem highlighted by the Journal of enhancing compatibility between the iPhone and Android phones. As one in every of the largest players in the cell telephone industry, Apple could certainly be doing greater to help establish extra constant texting and joy across devices. But the query is whether or not doing so is within the organization's interest. Apple often touts its manipulate over iOS as a selling factor for purchasers, and transferring far from iMessage ought to jeopardize that. Apple has not spoke back to CNET's request for remark, and Google pointed us to a number of tweets from Hiroshi Lockheimer, its senior vice chairman for Android, wherein he criticizes Apple for the usage of stress and bullying to fasten in users.